Good morning, everybody. Um, this isn't really going to be too much of an informal or informational video. I just want to talk a little bit about something that I had noticed and learned about when dealing with the world politics, the world wars, and then Nazi Germany versus America versus American slavery. So, as I've been growing up in this country, one of the things I've heard a lot from different people is get your own culture, do your own history, and tell the truth about history. Different stuff like that, especially from racists. Well, the thing is, I've been learning a lot about the Holocaust lately, and apparently the Holocaust had a lot to do, and a lot of these other massacres with Africa too. There was a lot of Chinese being hurt by the Japanese. There was a lot of Hindus that were being forced to fight, or Indians being forced to fight with the British. African Americans, you all know the stories about how like the soldiers were put in the front line, and then those African pilots that did a bunch to help people. I forget what the name of the troop unit was, but so recently I was listening to somebody talk to Rabbi Shmuley or one of the rabbis, and they were talking about how there was different atrocities in the Holocaust, and then I forgot about the 10 million that were Africans that were killed by Belgium. Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you pay attention to the political nature of Germany, all of Germany was ostracized after World War II. Well, the thing is, whenever we learn a history, they teach us about Anne Frank. They teach us about all the people that had to run and hide and survive and escape the Nazis. But if you pay attention to American politics, we don't talk about the Underground Railroad like that a lot. A lot of people don't even know about the Underground Railroad till they're grown, surprisingly. Some schools don't teach none about this shit. Then you go even further, they don't talk about the slaves that tried to be free. Okay, when they talk about the Civil War, right? The Civil War should be treated the same as World War II because they were trying to kill and exterminate Jews, right? But did you know that they were also killing and exterminating Africans? They don't tell people about that. And not only that, you go when they talk about World War II, they always ostracize Germans. Oh, Germany, this Germany, the Nazis. They were so bad. Change your laws. But whenever you talk about slavery in America, or you bring up our past of how they burned bodies, cut off penises and body parts, bucking, having sex with boys, slave masters were. They weren't just raping the women slaves. It was called back bucking or something like that, bucking or something. Burning us alive, hanging us, and sending postcards and stuff like that. They so quick to talk about Germany and Russia and China and they past. But you bring up the past here and they get fragile. They have terrible guilts dealing with it. I heard Charlie Kirk recently talking about how he doesn't believe African Americans deserve reparations because none of his people own slaves and nobody now owns slaves. But by that very argument, I would ask him, do you believe in the criminal justice system? And he'd probably say, yeah, I do, cops, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you believe in the criminal justice system, you believe in reparations. Because once a crime is committed, the police and the judge and the lawyers, they all go try to repair and redeem the person the crime was done to, right? You're repairing the person who was stolen from. You're repairing the person that was raped. You're repairing the person that was shot or killed. Also, another interesting point I wanted to bring up. When dealing with these crime statistics, the people who have done 70% of crime in this country are Caucasians. Go look up the 2019 crime table and look those numbers up and then do the statistics of them. The total number of crimes, the number that Caucasians committed, African Americans, and all these other cultures. Then Latinos, Hispanics, Arabs, all these people are considered Caucasian until it comes to crimes. I promise you it does. I can show you videos. Well, I brought it up to say this: America is full of hypocrisy. It's just a hypocritical country. This country is built on murder and death. When you talk about your past, they get fragile and say it was a long time ago. But then when you talk about Nazi Germany, if you don't bring it up over and over and talk about what happened to the Jews, you're an anti-Semite. That's called hypocrisy. The reason all these people don't like Jews has nothing to do with Judaism. It's because of the Bible. It's because of Christianity. Mel Gibson's little movie, The Passion of the Christ, South Park did a really funny, good episode about that. Mel Gibson is a fucking clown and a grifter. The Jews didn't kill the Jews. The Romans and Nero and them did. They killed 3,600 people at one time, including the man named Jehohanan. John, while they're looking for Prester John and John's the most famous prophet in the Bible. How many Africans died in the Middle Ages? I don't think the Middle Ages ended. We're still a part of the Middle Ages, the medieval times. because all these Europeans are still killing each other and starting wars everywhere. And I'm tired of hypocrisy. Whenever I see a colonizer or somebody telling people how violent they are, all crime and all this other shit, you all are psychopaths. You created you wouldn't even be here experiencing crime if you didn't come here and steal people to do it. Then the crime tables, those are only arrests. Those aren't crimes. So if 10 black men are arrested for the same murder, they're seen as 10 arrests on that crime table. Those aren't the crimes convicted of. Even still, 70% of the people arrested for many violent crimes were Caucasian. The murder table does not talk about the plea deals. I've seen this year alone 100 cases of Caucasians getting a charge called involuntary manslaughter or accidental murders, while people that weren't even nowhere around are catching full-blown murders because they're black or brown. And that's another thing. Stop calling people black and brown. We're all brown. My hair is black. No person on the planet is this color. Even the ones that are extremely dark are dark brown. So stop letting people tell you, oh, slavery was a long time ago. Because if they can talk about Anne Frank, if they can talk about Churchill and all these other people in Europe in World War II, then they can talk about slavery. They can talk about reparations. Because the Jewish people get $3.8 billion a year. They have been given reparations and everything else. But for the 400 years we dealt with, it's because they don't want the system to die down. And it's not up to them. It's going to crash hard. America's rich because of slavery. They can't have that no more. Now the system is slowly, year after year, going into debt because it should have never been. And I just watched the video recently talking about white supremacy. Wow. Blew my socks off. Basically explained how none of it's real and they have failed throughout history. Have not been prosperous in any empire and all of them have fallen. And America and Europe is next. It's crashing. It's going to crash. And all of you people that are supporting Trump, I don't have nothing to say to you because you have no common sense. I don't argue with Trump supporters or anybody on that spectrum of people. They are psychopaths. They are beyond lost and there is no redemption for them. Those are the people that are condemned. Those are the people that there is no help for because they don't want to help themselves. So I would be glad to talk about my past and my history and everything else that has happened. Because the next person that comes up to me and tells me something that happened all the way in Germany, almost 100 years ago, but won't talk about telling us not to come to their neighborhoods in the 60s and 70s, still gentrifying and putting us in ghettos, then I don't got shit to say. You're an anti-black mite. And I'm going to use that word till the wheels fall off. Anti-blackitism. That's exactly what y'all are. Every person that says, oh, it was so sad. Oh, I didn't own anything. That's another thing I wanted to bring up. You talking about how your people didn't own slaves, so you didn't perpetuate slavery. Everybody that was alive in this system perpetuated slavery. Even the slaves, even though they didn't have a choice because they were beat to and murdered. But all you poor whites that didn't own slaves, you caught them. You sent them back. You beat them. You told on them. You benefited from the work you got from them plantations. Don't act fucking stupid. So, I'm not talking to people who are wicked right now. If you can understand what I'm saying, I'm giving you all leeway and ways out to not deal with the system. But there's two sides of the spectrum. If you ain't never done no harm to no African Americans, brown people, or any other community, and you mind your business and or help when you can, then don't let people call you a racist and act nuts with you. When people do that, leave them alone. Because no matter how you respond, you're not going to have the fire they had because of the oppression they had. So leave them people alone. The same way I have to leave racists alone sometimes. You don't think I want to Hulk smash and beat somebody's head in? Sometimes you got to let it go. That's the ego I'm talking about. I can be a god, but I know when to shut the fuck up. But also, I know when to fucking crash the fuck out. Judge E. Stop letting these narcissists and psychopaths tell y'all what to do. Talking about what Israelis are doing right now is not anti-Semitism. And talking about your past isn't fragility.